Good day, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Ned's Healing Sanctuary. Today, I thought we would review Sleepwalking in the Matrix, which is going to be a comparison between the movie The Matrix and our lives here on Earth. All right, should be fun. So let's get to it. So, the illusion of the Matrix, the central theme of the movie is that the world that the humans or people that are in the movie, um, they perceive it to be their reality, which you see up there on that image. So they're going about their daily lives and living their lives just like you and I are. And the reality is, though, that this is a computer generated simulation that is being fed to each one of them. Okay. And it's not real. And the simulation is created by AI, basically, intelligent machines, okay, artificial intelligence. The reality, the real reality, is this. The machine generated simulation is being played, okay, for each human. So it's their own version of it, right? And they are asleep in incubators, like you see here. So they're unknowingly trapped in this illusion, and they're serving as a power source for the matrix through their body heat, which is being harvested by the robots, the machines, in order to continue and power the fake reality, the matrix. All right. And so they're asleep, they're kept asleep so they don't cause any trouble. They don't wake up to the reality. And they have, I don't know if you can see that on the floor there are all kinds of tubes and wires to keep them asleep, to feed them fluids and food, and to feed the matrix to them through the plug in the back of their head. And the reason why they're being harvested like this, their body heat is being harvested, is because their world has been destroyed by an apocalyptic war. And it looks like this. That is their world outside. And so this is called a dystopian wasteland. Dystopian means the society is suffering and injustice. And it's post-apocalyptic, meaning after a nuclear war. And the surface has been destroyed of their planet. The regime that's ruling them is totalitarian, meaning the machines have control over humanity, physical control, through the physical imprisonment in the incubators and mental imprisonment through the simulation of their reality. So now let's look at our illusion, Earth. So Earth is a temporary illusion as well. It's a school, if you will, for souls to come and learn. And the true nature of us is the soul. It's spiritual. It's not physical. It's energetic. And it exists in a plane outside of Earth, non-physical plane, in either an intermediate plane or the spiritual realm. Okay. And all they're aware of is unity with each other and unconditional love. And the physical world here, in our case, has a lot of suffering and a lot of pleasure, but it's made and designed for the souls to be able to incarnate here and learn and grow and experience something other than what they have on the spiritual realm, which is unconditional love and perfect unity. They come here to experience the opposite of that. So in both cases, the Matrix and Earth, the real reality is not the one that we experience daily. So this is not our reality, and neither is the similar lives that they were living in the Matrix. So it's a hidden underlying truth that can only be accessed by those who awaken while they're in the simulation while you're on Earth. So if you can awaken while you're here, then you can see the true reality of what it is. So, how did they awaken in the Matrix? Well, Neo, who's the main character, and he first started, um, having doubts about his reality being real because he's a software developer in the movie. And you cut it, you edit it, and then you take a section out of the video and then you put the rest back together. There's a little bit of a skip, you know, like I'm doing this and then I do this all of a sudden. And so he was noticing that that would happen occasionally. And since he was a software developer, he realized that that looks a lot like a video that I would create, when it skips like that. So he started having doubts. And there are others that have awakened before him. So they unplugged from the matrix and they're now outside of the matrix trying to find others that they can help awaken. They discovered that Neo was having doubts. They were able to monitor the matrix and see his brain waves and see that he was doubting the reality that he was being fed. And so they decided to meet up with him in the matrix. So his spirit guide entered the matrix. His spirit guide had already left, awakened, but he came back temporarily, met with him, and offered him a choice. And so he is presented with two pills, a blue pill and a red pill. And Morpheus told Neo, the blue pill will just let you go back to sleep. You won't ever think that this is fake again. Blissfully unaware. The red pill will allow you to awaken to the reality and leave the matrix eventually. Okay? See the truth. So he decided to take the red pill and awaken, which he did. And that was his first step from the awakening. So what is it like to awaken on Earth? So the spiritual awakening is just becoming aware that this body and this mind is not your true self. Okay? You are a soul, a spirit. You're ethereal. You're not from this planet. Okay? And this awakening, usually it's triggered by a traumatic event or a crisis that happens in your life. You may have a feeling of discontent that doesn't go away. Like you just feel there's something more to this world. What am I missing? Is this it? This is all there is? And it's just gnawing at you. It does not go away. And you just want more meaning to your life than you can get in this place, living this life. And so it's just a conscious choice to start seeking a deeper truth. Okay, you go on a search. It can be external, where you do a lot of reading and research. Mostly it's internal. So let's look at the role of the guide in both the Matrix and Earth. In the Matrix, as we mentioned, Morpheus was Neo's guide. He was made aware that Neo was having doubts while he was in the incubator. So he went to find him. They pulled him out of the Matrix with the red pill, unplugged him, and took him away. Now he had to teach him about the Matrix and how to live beyond its laws, its rules. And so he mentored him, and he trained him to understand how the Matrix worked and to be able to manipulate the rules that it operated under. Okay? And that's why you could see him when they were shooting bullets at him. He would be able to dodge the bullets, right, coming at him, because he could slow them down to see them and move out of the way before they actually arrived at him. So he would just change the laws of that world, that simulation was operating in. So what about the role of a guide on Earth? So many times when somebody is going through an awakening, they have a spiritual guide. And this is a teacher who's been through it, because sometimes you get lost. It's not always easy to tell what to expect next or what to do next, right? There's not a manual or a handbook about awakening. Um, but the guide's role is not to save the student, but more give them guidance on and wisdom and instruction where necessary so that they can find the truth themselves. Just kind of, they're guardrails to keep you going in the right direction so you don't go on a tangent, that's not going to lead you to where you want to go, or it could lead you back to the matrix. Okay. So the awakened um, here on earth choose not to participate in the matrix. And how do they do that? They may not have a job, right? They don't want to be a part of the rat race of society, right? You wake up in the morning, go to work, you obsess over the details, try to do the best you can, try to please your boss, stay nice with your coworkers, and then go home. Next day, come back, do it all over again. They don't want to do that. Okay. Many times they will start their own company, like on the side, and start working towards their life mission, their life purpose, which comes from their crown chakra, right? Through spirit. And they'll start working towards it. That will give them fulfillment and it'll give them a way out of the matrix. They're rebels. So let's talk about the chosen one and free will. In the matrix, Neo was prophesied to be the chosen one, the one, they called him. He is the one, the one. And he was the one destined to free humanity that was captive in these incubators. So he had to eventually make a choice of saving a city and all its inhabitants from being taken over by the machines and put into the matrix, or follow unconditional love and save his true love, which he ended up doing as a way to come back and free everybody later. What about Earth? Well, we have chosen ones and we have free will too. Many times the chosen ones are called star seeds, meaning they're from other planets. They're just coming here, um, relatively new, let's say, a couple of 3 incarnations ago. Or sometimes they're called light workers because they understand who they really are. They're energetic beings, right? And they're working to help other people awaken. That's what they do. So they try to follow their mission, but they have free will while operating and trying to achieve their goals. So before we incarnate to Earth, we've said in past episodes that the soul chooses what major life lessons it wants to learn or wants to focus on, as well as its life plan, right? And these are high level for the most part. They don't know all the details before they're born, but they know the plan, the higher self, not the body and the mind. But when you're born here, you're always free to make choices, right? You can do whatever you want. Um, the idea of karma here on Earth and other 3-dimensional planes, it's not a punishment system, right? Reward versus punishment. It's more a tool for us to stay on track, to choose unconditional love, higher self, God, over ego, mind, right? The physical desires and short term thinking that the ego gives you. And so the goal is not to follow a rigid script, like do the same thing every time, but go beyond the limitations that this physical world places on you, right? Through conscious choice and through spiritual evolvement. So, how do you escape the matrix? Well, the way that they escaped the matrix, um, they had to experience physical death. So, their avatar or their body in the matrix, the simulation had to die for them to be able to unplug and then leave the matrix. Okay, go into their real world. On Earth, the goal is not necessarily to die physically, but go beyond the limitations that this physical world places on you. So you can achieve this by going inward through meditation, mindfulness, solitude, and prayer. Okay. And this will allow you to understand that this is not the real you, right? And this is not your real mind. And you'll detach from the ego and from the world. You'll no longer want to play by these rules. So the concept of enlightenment or ascension or awakening is the spiritual equivalent of what Neo did when he unplugged from the matrix, right? You'll have a shift in consciousness that'll allow you to perceive and operate from a higher level of reality. So you won't see things for exactly as they are. You may not trust what your eyes show you, okay? What your ears tell you, okay? You don't just take it at face value. You'll go deeper and understand the real meaning, and you may decide to react in a different way than somebody who is entrenched in the matrix would, okay? So what is the path to awakening? Well, number one, you have to live in alignment with your higher self or God or spirit. And how do you do that? Well, you have to be positive in your thoughts first, which will lead you to having positive actions and then positive emotions. So positivity is the fundamental root. We have to start there. So you must monitor your thoughts, check for negative thoughts. If you find a negative thought, change it to the positive equivalent. Okay? And then that will cause you to think positively, act positively, and feel positively. And this is a repetitive process. You have to do this over and over and over until you don't have to think about it anymore. You just think positively all the time, which means you're going to be acting positively and feeling positively. Number two, you have to be kind and forgive yourself as well as others. So if you don't start with yourself first and you're hypercritical about yourself, then you're going to be the same to others. That'll give you a distorted view of who you are. Okay, you won't look at yourself and be happy. For one reason or another, you're going to find fault, right? Either you don't like the color of your hair, too many gray hairs. Maybe you don't want, your weight is not what you want it to be. Maybe you don't like the way you look. These are all like hypercritical things that you do about yourself. And many times they're not based in reality. Other people will see you differently than you do. That tells you that you're lying to yourself. Ego mind. And third, you have to be authentic. You have to act out of love, unconditional love, and not have any ulterior motives, but what's best for you and for whoever else you are dealing with, or, all living beings. Okay? So if you're able to do that consistently, what do you get? Well, you're positive in all facets. So that means you're going to live positively too. You're going to be surrounded by people and circumstances and experiences that mirror how you think. So you're going to be happy. You're going to be relatively healthy. And you're going to have an easier time in your life. But if you choose ego and don't think positively and don't act positively, then you're going to have subconscious guilt, the guilt you cannot feel. And that will turn into stress and physical illness, potentially chronic illness, and emotional distress. And you're not going to be having a good time. So living in alignment with higher self makes you happier, healthier, and makes your life easier. If you're able to continue this alignment of positivity, then eventually that's going to end your karmic cycle. And that means you're able to take stones out of your karma jar regularly, right? By reacting the right way. Even when somebody's difficult, treating you negatively, you understand the reality is, oh, I probably have karma with this person from a past life. So I'm not going to just react and yell back and retaliate. No, I'm going to hold my tongue, give them a chance to speak, and then I'm going to start with, I understand, and rephrase what they said to diffuse the situation and let them know I'm listening. That's how you take stones out of your karma jar. Okay? If you do initiate new karma against someone by acting negatively or thinking negatively, then you got to pick up a stone from outside and put it in your karma jar. Okay? So if you're able to empty your karma jar, then you're going to be at a very high vibrational frequency. All right? And this will lead to enlightenment, awakening from the matrix. And you will have inner peace, compassion, and unconditional love for all beings. And this will awaken you to the spiritual powers you did not know you had. This will allow you to operate outside of the laws of the matrix, these powers. And you can use them to positively change the world, help humanity, help other people awaken. That's the goal. So I thank you for spending this time with me. I hope you enjoyed it. And I ask that you please give me a thumbs up if you like the content, and also subscribe to the channel so you can be made aware of new content that I post. And then as a reminder, you can find Ned's Healing Sanctuary on all of these streaming platforms and sites. I thank you again for spending this time with me. See you again soon. Take care of yourself. Bye.